Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We discuss all kinds of fictional monsters, creatures, and beasts from the alien to the mythological and supernatural from all corners of pop culture. My name is Joe Praska. I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm your other host, Khalid Hussein.
How's it going, Khalid?
Groovy, man. I'm chilling in a hotel room in Utah.
Why are you in Utah?
Just wanted a nice little vacation in a glamorous area. No, really though, I'm here for work. It's I'm working on a new show. Can't really talk about it yet, but it's been fun. Hit the ground running.
Sounds exclusive.
It's pretty exclusive. I didn't see a black person for like 5 days when I got here.
Making waves there, I guess.
Yeah, no, they asked me to be mayor, so I got that going for me.
Progressive, I like it.
Yeah, I think it was the novelty of me.
Hey, Khalid.
Hey, Joe.
How do monsters like their eggs?
Scrambled? What?
Terra-fried. Oh, that was a monster joke for you. And that's a segue to our guest, who is a comedian. Was that a good segue, Khalid?
You already know it wasn't.
Joining us today, folks, is Miss Shannan Paul, who is a comedian, radio and TV host, and fellow podcaster. She was named City Page's Best Stand-Up Comedian for 2020. Miss Shannan Paul, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I thought that was a decent joke, Joe. That I try to collect.
Thank you.
I collect those jokes because people, whenever they find out you're a stand-up comedian, they go, "Oh, tell me a joke." Like they expect me to tell them one of my jokes, and that's not happening. So. So I collect those kind of jokes. So my favorite street joke, let's see, what do I normally tell them? So a horse, no, okay, here's one for you. It's just as bad. So a bacon and eggs walks into a bar and the bartender says, "We don't serve breakfast here." Yes, that was appropriately terrible. That is like,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
it might have been a step up from my monsters like eggs one. I don't know.
I was just trying to stay in the egg genre as much as I could.
I like it.
I'm laughing, but there's like a slow boiling rage from Terra-fried, Joe. I'm seething.
I hope it sticks with you.
It will. It will.
Are either of you actual dads?
I am.
Okay, so you need those in your repertoire. Like you need those dad jokes because otherwise maintaining, like trying to figure out a way that humor works into your life as a parent. Like you have to find appropriate jokes and then like arm your kids with it and find dumb things to laugh about. Otherwise, you're always stuck with what they pick. And so I'm like, you might as well, if you can pick the dad jokes for them, Joe, you're probably doing the best that you can. That's fine. Yeah. That's a good start. They can go tell that joke at school and everybody else can groan, but they'll be the coolest kid because at least they had a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only I've a 2.5-year-old and I'm also like a 4th grade teacher. So I've got the dad jokes like on lock.
On lock. Yeah, you got them on lock. So perfect. So I understand, Khalid, though, why you do not need these in your repertoire. So you're just like, could you not make my life the worst? But that's the life of being a parent and being around kids at this age is that most of your life is just saying words that you know are corny, but but you're doing the best that you can. And so you just have to keep them in your brain. So when they're looking at you with judgment, you got at least something to throw at them.
So Khalid, you're going to have to live with it, I guess is the point here.
I'll just keep an eye on my blood pressure, I guess, if that's the price I got to pay.
I'll send you some chamomile. You'll be okay. We'll get through it together.
Appreciate it. I'm a fan of the decaf.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, Shannan, before we break into the actual movie we're talking about, I have a couple guest questions I always ask the people on our podcast who join us. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. I am ready.
So, you know that this is a monster creature feature podcast. So the first question, it goes along with that, is what's your favorite monster from sort of any corner of pop culture? It could be like a book, movie, comic book, show, something like that.
I grew up watching the old school monsters of like Japanese monster movies. So I was always a fan of like the Gamera of the world, those kind of things. Like, so those big lizardly style monsters that would come and destroy Tokyo and those things. So I still lean into that. Like if you have something that needs to dash a giant building into shreds and that you need to run from, those kind of monsters are usually the ones that I still like.
Like the kaiju, right?
Yes, love that. Like that was one of my favorite movies because it's like my inner 12-year-old boy loves that movie. Like still. Like because it's so amazingly like awesomely stupid, but I like movies like that that go all in on whatever the world is. Like the most recent King Kong iteration, where it's the only thing that can solve this problem is a giant ape. And that's what you have to lead into. And anytime they do anything to try and solve the problem and it's not giant ache, it fails miserably because we already told you this is what works. So when you're watching those movies about the kaiju, like we told you the only thing in this world that fixes it are giant robots manned by multiple people. Anything else they try fails miserably. And I'm just all on board with that. I'm like, if you're going to pick a world, whatever the science and the reality is in that world, stay with it. And then I'm good with you. I'm good with it.
Love it. Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's like if you're going to make a weird, like outlandish world, like go all in, right?
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah. Follow up to that question. What would you consider the scariest monster that you've seen in any sort of pop culture?
That's hard because
it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is that the way that my imagination works is that realistic monsters are the ones that scare me the most because I feel like they could accidentally be in my house. And so things, the way that my brain absorbs those things are things that look like they shouldn't be horrific. So you allow them in and then they end up being horrific. So that's why I've never been a big fan. Like I'm definitely on the side of I'm a Slayer, not a vampire fan, or like, so things like, vampires and things like werewolves and things that can hide themselves and then they turn out to be scary. Those are the things that I get scared of the most.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've been kind of finding with that question, it's interesting that the scariest monster people bring up are usually the ones that are either like the human monsters or like you said, the kind of realistic ones. So yeah. Cool. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah. The other question I have for you is just a general kind of like what would you say like is on your geek card? Like what is your passions and what are your fandoms? Like what kind of makes, or what do you feel like makes you geeky in some way?
Right. Well, I definitely lean into the whole comic book and superhero genre heavy. I'm also one of those people that, I cut my teeth like the first show that my mom and I used to watch together often was Doctor Who. So I'm an old school Whovian from back in the day and watching that on public television with my mom. And the first movie she ever took me to was Star Wars. And we saw that together. And so, I grew up in Arizona and so I could really relate to Luke out in the desert wanting to go on adventures. And so those pillars of geekdom are still where I hang most of my hats. If you come to my house, it's like you see a lot of Star Wars thing. I'm that woman that has a life-size lightsaber on her wall and a bunch of swords and could quote things from Lord of the Rings at any given time. So, I live in those things and I like those escapism part of those worlds. And I still lean into genres that talk about that, which is really glad that which is why I was really glad you gave me the homework assignment that you did. Cause I like those worlds where you go, I wish that I could figure out a way to visit that, like going through a wardrobe and ending up in Narnia or somehow getting in a TARDIS and being on an adventure with a Doctor Who of the world. Like all of those things really, are what keep me in this whole geek family.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm becoming more of a Doctor Who fan myself. We've been watching the newer series a little bit and just got to Capaldi. So we're still behind, but it's been really fun.
Oh, yeah. And so you'll enjoy it by the time you get caught up. I think that there are obviously some moments where, any series that's been on for 60 years, even with that break, is going to have its moments where it stumbles. So there's some things where I'm like, you kind of had to power through that. And so, don't feel bad if you feel like you have to fast forward through a couple of episodes and pick back up. You'll figure it out. And there's enough, Doctor Who, nerds out there that you can go read a blog real quick and go, I need to fill in on this hole for a minute and catch back up.
Yeah. It's a fun world to be part of. I love like those like kind of sweeping large like things where you can just really dig deep into the fandom and like like really niche stuff like the novel verse or like there's the audio dramas with Doctor Who too are really fun.
Right. And where are you based again? Remind me where you're based.
I'm in Minneapolis too.
Then you'll like, once you get caught up, like we have a really cool fan-driven Doctor Who convention here in town called Console Room.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing some really great virtual content as well, because normally they have their convention in January. So we were able to have our one this year before the world got itself caught on fire and we're all hunkered down in our basements. But they've been doing a lot. They were able to pivot into some really quality virtual content pretty quickly. So if you want to learn more about that world and just geek stuff in general, following Console Room, they've been doing some great like virtual panels to talk about that stuff. So it's always nice to find ways to stay connected with the rest of our little geek friends out there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'd love to check that out. Console Room. Yeah. I love how cons are kind of adjusting to this virtual world and just doing panels like throughout the year at different times for anyone to catch. It's super fun.
Agreed.
Yeah. So thanks for answering those questions.
My pleasure.
Khalid, do you want to let us know what we are talking about today?
Yeah. So this will come from our homeboy Google. Today we are talking about the 2020 Netflix film, A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting, directed by Rachel Talalay, and written by Joe Ballarini. So the description goes a little something like this. Recruited by a secret society of babysitters, a high schooler battles the boogeyman and his monsters when they nab the boy she's watching on Halloween. Cue music.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
Did you know that the director, Rachel Talalay, also directed the original Hairspray? She did a couple Nightmare on Elm Street movies and Tank Girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a pretty impressive resume there, too.
Right. She's really cool. And I, when I watched this, because I appreciate you giving me this as a homework assignment, gentlemen, because I like monsters. I don't like horror. And I was a little worried that that's what you were going to suggest when we first got into this. And I tap out on horror real quick because, hey, man, I take melatonin a lot and you can't have all those extra dreams and all that feeding your melatonin dreams is bad enough anyway. So I was worried that it was going to something more like that because, Rachel Talalay, she worked on things like the last like Freddy's Dead, and those kind of things. She worked on she had dabbled in A Nightmare on Elm Street and those kind of things, which I don't watch anymore. Like, I think that was one of the last horror movies that I watched because I'm like, I already have nightmares. I don't need to see a movie about somebody that hijacks your nightmare. So I had to tap out of that. But I appreciated what she did because she's also she's a director who's done stuff with the Doctor Who series and those kind of things. So I was like, oh yeah, I can get down with this one. I haven't read any of the books. I'm normally that kind of nerd as well. I do like these kind of books. And I had some friends who do live in that, young adult fiction world who had thought that these books weren't terrible. I just hadn't gotten around to doing it. So I was really excited when you said that that this is what we were talking about today.
Yeah, to what you're saying, the book series actually written by the same guy who did the script, so Joe Ballarini, right? Mm-hmm. And there's currently 3 books in the series at this point. I think the first one's just called A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting. Number 2 is called Beasts and Geeks, and number 3 is Mission to Monster Island, I think. So maybe we'll see those adapted sometime. It'd be kind of fun.
I think this one's going to do well enough.
Yeah.
And the way that, it left it, you could tell that they're on the side of, we're going to make more of these. I
think so, yeah. Khalid, what'd you think?
Before I get into my thoughts, they're definitely going to make more of these, right? Like, they spent the last 10 minutes of the movie just setting up another movie. Like,
I'm hoping so, yeah.
I've never gotten so much information about a villain for another movie.
Right. That is true. They're like, don't close the book yet. We have more. So,
Which, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's on brand for Netflix. I kind of did the same thing with The Old Guard, where half the movie, I don't know if you've seen it, but not half the movie, but certain scenes are very clearly setting up the next movie's villain.
And Umbrella Academy. I think it was a little more cliffhangery, but you could tell that they are like already planning to greenlight the next ones.
Oh, definitely. That one's
Mhm.
got to be performing so well for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, as far as my thoughts, I dug it. I do think that unfortunately I've like kind of, I don't know if it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to me anyway that I've aged out of like
Yeah.
this specific kind of movie where when I was a kid, like it reminds me of those Disney Channel original movies that they used to like put out like once a month on Fridays, and I'd eat it all up, and now I go back and watch it, and I just kind of double take at a few choices.
Right.
I'm not the target audience. I don't think any of us here are. But that being said, this was put together really well, and I think it is a compliment that it reminded me so much of those DCOM movies of my childhood.
Right. And it's definitely the kind of film that helped lead into the kind of geek that I am. And I think that it's giving, I wish this movie had been around when I was in that tween years. Cause, I was book reading nerd and I could see myself as the main character, Kelly, as a young Black girl growing up that was super like nerdy and all these things and read too many books. Like, this is the kind of adventure that I wanted to have happen. Like, my little sisters are a lot younger than me. So when I was 14, I was the babysitter. Like, I was watching my sister when I was like the same age as Kelly's supposed to be in this. When I was a high school freshman, that was my life. And how great would it have been if my skill set of being an awkward freshman in high school turned into, no, you really were supposed to be part of the secret society. You're awesome. And you just weren't in the right, group of people yet to really see how awesome you were. So that part of it, I really appreciated. And I appreciated the fact that it is organically diverse without over acting like it is. Like, I appreciated the casting and the representation in it. And I give Netflix and just our new films in general a lot of credit for going, no, the lead can be someone from the BIPOC community, and it can be female driven, and the guys that are in it are a variety of shapes and sizes and all of these things. So the inclusive nature of this film I thought was fantastic. And I'm glad that they're being made now. And 40-year-old me wishes that 13-year-old me had this movie when she was 13.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to echo what you guys both said. I really agree with you. Like, it's super fun movie. I think, Khalid, you're right about how it may not be aimed at people like us, but I still think like I can still appreciate a lot of what it's doing. And I like that you also brought up the Disney Channel original movies. I kept getting the Halloween Town vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one?
Yes.
That was one I kept thinking of that one. Yeah. But it also, like, I feel like it also kind of makes me almost think of a Buffy type show, but for kids.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Kind of crossed with, like, I don't know if you guys ever seen Odd Squad, that kids show on PBS? Yeah. I show that to my fourth graders once in a while. It's like they're like a little like underground spy group of kids who solve problems with math.
Yes. So
but
it was
well,
not
it's also got like that like
entertainment.
Men in Black edge to it that I really like.
Yeah.
Mhm. The vibe that I got off of this, guys, is I got that, like, the thing is that, as a parent who has a kid that's in the age group that should be watching this, I got a lot of those like shout outs to stuff that I would like when I was that age. So I liked the part where there was a part where the big bad comes in and he starts singing, and somebody's like, "Why are you singing?" Because I was like, this is giving me that Labyrinth vibe. Well, this is what would happen. What the bad guy would come in and he would sing this stuff, and this is where he's doing all the exposition. And why is he explaining everything so much? So as an adult that knows that those are tropes, I like that they broke that little fourth wall a little bit, like, okay, we know this is silly. And I think that was more for me, and the fact that our kids are supposed to be more self-aware than they used to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that too. I think that kind of adds a little bit to the humor of it. Right. Yeah. And I appreciate that as well.
And there were some things where I literally laughed out loud. It was like, wait, like it did make me laugh. I did like, and maybe I'm just corny, but there were some parts where I'm like, because I had it playing on my tablet, and I would like look down and go, yeah, okay, that was a good one. Maybe, but I also laughed at your joke that we started with Joe. So maybe that's just me.
The one thing that got me, I thought was pretty funny. I love how like the Babysitter's Guide itself is this like ancient tome that they have standing up, but they also just have like the ebook copy that they take out with them.
They're like, grab your tablet, you have an e-reader, do it. And I thought, which makes sense because whenever we have films now that lean into the fact that we don't have technology, that always ruins it for me. Like it almost takes it out. Like if it's set in now, and I liked that the characters were very like, there was like, okay, well, they kept saying, well, read the book. And then she would like, of course there's a digital copy of it. Because why would you have time to do this if you couldn't just sit there and go search, find, hurry up and get to it? Like if it was old school, like Charmed, and they had to spend all their time reading through this ancient tome. Okay, we don't have, not everybody has time for that, and I like that some of the characters are really focused on the technology that they're doing now seemed very present time. Like there's somebody that one of them is like, no, I live my life in my Beats headphones, or like I like, and that's what they're doing. I thought that part was cool as well.
Yeah. Do you guys think that there were some legitimately creepy elements to it? I know that the horror piece is like toned down, especially because it's aimed at kids, but what parts stood out to you guys as like genuinely creepy?
This creepy shadow monster, that would give me nightmares still. Yep. That was terrible. Yeah. The other thing that immediately I was like, this needs to stop now, is when the 5-year-old boy, who's I really give him a lot of credit for this, the young actor. He was really fun. I liked him. But one of the first things that happens to him when he's being menaced by the big bad is the big bad puts a spell on him where he can't talk. And how creepy did that make you feel? I'm like, that would be the worst. Like you want to cry out and you want to be able to get help and do all these things. And you can't, because the first thing that the monster that you're already terrified of, the first thing he does to you is silences you. So you can't even ask for help or call your mom or get anything. That I thought was incredibly creepy.
Agreed. Yeah, that was like conceptually just like a terrifying idea.
Yes. The Shea Lounge that was cats.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that got me. That was cool. I was impressed, but then I was like, okay, that many coordinated cats is never a good thing.
Right.
Nothing good could come of that. If they could just be like that, like obedient, like there's a reason you only train dogs is what I'm getting at.
But that goes back to the kind of monsters that really scare me. And I did find that amazingly creepy, where this thing that's supposed to be your friend turns on you, and being chased by a horde of cats, that would be like having these, like even like creepy cat eyes, like that many, because we're talking hundreds of cats like we're chasing her. That's super crazy. Yeah.
And can we just dwell on the fact that like in a movie full of fantastical creatures and like that lady's thing is just cats, not a mythical anything. It's just, it's scary, a lady with a lot of cats.
Right. And that's, welcome to my dating life. That's what people think. And I only have one cat, but I have one aggressively cat-like cat. So that makes up for the fact that he's only one. But yeah, I mean, I think that, and I think it also leans into the things that are allowed to be made fun of. Like, I think that they try to kind of have this undertone of anti-bullying, and it's okay to be different, and it's okay to look different and be all. I think there was a good underlying methodology of that it's okay to be smart, and it's okay to not look like everybody else, and it's okay to speak your truth and have not everybody get it. And so I think having this scary cat lady kind of makes sense in the world that they've created.
It reminds me a lot of like those like shows from Cartoon Network days and stuff. Mm-hmm. The idea of like these everyday things that people are scared of are actually way more sinister than you think. So it's like, if you're scared of the cat lady in your neighborhood, maybe you're right to be.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
I loved how she got away from the cats, though. Like the laser pointer to the chandelier.
That was another part that I laughed out loud at. Like I giggled at that because I said, that's ingenious. Like I liked the way that she problem solved, because it also wasn't all about what the gadgets were, because they had their little gadget guy, like their dude that did everything. Like I always like that review.
My homie Curtis, my best friend Curtis.
Yes, yeah, kind of thing. Like there's always that guy where it's like, well, you go and you see, if you're in a James Bond movie, you got to go stock up. If you're in, even if you're in, you brought up Men in Black, there's a part where they have to go and stock up for the thing. So she did that and had the cool stuff. But the fact that she was able to MacGyver whatever she needed to, because she was just, as it really comes down to, resourceful as a young human being, that was super awesome to me.
It's interesting that you bring up the weapons because I found that there was just a little too wide an array of weapons. The angel fire or whatever, that's just a grenade, right? Like that blew out the windows in her childhood bedroom. I just don't know how, like, you're monster hunters, okay, you're in danger, okay, but like at that point, why stop at the grenade? Just get guns. I think that would, like, at the very least, it would slow down some of the monsters.
But see, and I thought the opposite. I'm like, well, it had to be a very special grenade. Like it is a grenade that had a bunch of weird things in it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked. Guns have, like it wouldn't work if it was just a gun. They would have to made special bullets that had that stuff in it. And that would have worked maybe if they had the gun, and I think that's always interesting to me where it's not just about skill. It's that you need that alchemy dude. Like you need somebody that can read all this stuff and make it into the right mechanism.
Shannon, I would gladly sit through 8 more montages of my boy Curtis calling babysitters around the world and getting ingredients
right.
so they could stay strapped. That was amazing.
Right. I like it. Curtis was cool. I liked Curtis. And I liked
he was so cool.
And I like that Curtis was just trying to be cool with the young ladies, and his friend, like his other partners are like, oh my, would you stop? Like that was cheesily real, to me. Like I liked those real moments where they're going, can you stay on target with your dude brain? And he's like, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like I absolutely cannot. Because you
can't have that many toys. You can't have that many toys and not try to stunt a little.
Right, exactly. I thought that was appropriate. That was appropriate if you're 16. I also liked, like, I remember when, and I still think this a little bit, like, there's a reason why I want to get a motorcycle. Like, I have no reason to ride a motorcycle. I live in Minnesota and there's like, but I just know you can't really be a superhero or a super spy unless you ride a motorcycle. And so the fact that they had like their version, the young adult version of it, where they're on this scooter or whatever it was, like this super souped up scooter, of course you did that. Because even if she, had her permit and was driving a car, that's not nearly as cool as getting on a scooter and getting to where you have to go next, or a motorized, like whatever if it was an actual motorcycle, I don't remember. It looked more like a souped up scooter to me, but I thought that was appropriate for the genre as well.
Definitely. No. Mm-hmm. And I mean, credit to Liz LaRue, that character, the awesome Slayer babysitter.
Yes.
She really sold it. I love the sequence where she's got one of the toadies and you just see the shadows like of the toady getting flung back and forth near the ball pit. That was awesome.
Right.
She was great. And then her little merit badges that she has like stitched on her jacket. It was a whole aesthetic and I was totally behind it.
I agree.
Do you guys think that this will be, or this has the potential to be kind of like one of those Halloween classics, like Goosebumps or Hocus Pocus or something?
Oh, I have to see the rest of them because and I want to dip into the world, like my friends that are like young adult authors. I just kind of wondered because I'm going, all right, is this going to be the next, I'm curious to see what 13-year-old versions of me think. Like, do they look at Kelly, the protagonist? Like, do they look at Kelly and Liz and go, yeah, I want to be them? Like, would they, because I could see that I would have okay, I liked her style and I liked her sweater and I liked all this stuff. But, and I'm like, and I even liked her hair. I'm like, am I going to start doing my hair in those kind of braids again? Like, and so that's what I want to know, like I'm curious, like if I want to know what your students think, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you cosplay Kelly?
Yeah, I totally want to bring this up. I mean, because I watched it this weekend and we were on MEA break, so it was long, but I want to bring it up when I get back on Monday and talk about we always talk about our weekend. Yeah. Like, did anyone watch this movie too?
Yeah. So. And if not, will you watch it and let me know what you think? Like, I feel like this is an appropriate thing for you to go, what do you think? And I'm trying to go, who's in my group because my kid, he's not going to be into it because, a lot of different things. Like I have he's 12, but he's on the autism spectrum. So he likes what he likes. And so this isn't his genre. So I'm trying to think, who can I guinea pig? Like any of my friends that have kids in this age, what do they think? And so I'm curious to know what your students think, Joe, because I think it has potential. Like I think it'll do well and there'll be lots of downloads. But I don't know if it has that Umbrella Academy anchor to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's possible potentially, but
it's kind of tough to like gauge like with these kids movies these days, what's going to be a quote unquote classic too, just because one media is way more fragmented than it was when any of us were kids. So like we liked it and think kids would like it, but the truth is kids like YouTube unboxing videos and a bunch of other things that we just don't really consider media like they do. So I mean, when it all shakes out, like it'll be them that decides what the classics are. We're just like old people that liked a movie.
Right. That had people their age in it. Like that's pretty much it.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought up unboxing video because that's the thing my kid watches all the time. I'm like, why are we like watching them open this video when we could just go watch the video? So
for real.
Yeah, he's deep divey on the unboxing videos. So I agree with you, Khalid.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get these kids. I don't think I ever will.
You all ready to move into the monsters?
Yes.
Let's talk monsters.
Let's do it. All right. So there's kind of 4 segments of monsters that I was thinking we touch on, and we kind of make our way up to the big bad at the end here. Okay. So why don't we first talk about the toadies? What do you guys think of the toadies?
I thought the toadies were cute, and they gave me that Monsters Incorporated vibe where they're monsters and they're bad because they are told that they're supposed to be bad, and they're really just like toadies are very appropriate names for them because they're just like the grunts that always get pooped on by whatever the big bads are, and they're just out there trying to live their life, get shiny things, and this is the only way that they can do it because how else are they going to be part of the toady economy other than to be henchmen? So I thought they were cute. I like the way that they had that squishy, rubbery characteristics about them. And the other reason why I like monsters like the toadies and monsters like Monsters Incorporated is that, I, as a parent, try to parent from that. Monsters should be scared of us. We shouldn't just be scared of monsters, which does not always work out. I see enough of these movies, But in general, I try to go, well, there are ways that you can overcome these. You just have to figure it out. So I like that the toadies were so bouncy and added that humor concept into it, where if you just saw one, you would go, yeah, I should be really scared. But then if you take a step back and go, hey, man, I can beat this one. I can beat it.
Yeah. The director, actually, I read an interview with the director about the toadies specifically, and she was saying that she sort of envisioned them as like teenage boys, that they're kind of like a little bit dirty, a little bit unpredictable and mischievous, but ultimately kind of comical in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And she also says, I want people to have these monsters as stuffed animals.
Right. They'd make good plushies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What do you think, Khalid?
I don't want to rain on y'all's parade, but these are Minions ripoffs. Like, literally, like the first time I heard them talk, like the way they behave, like, of course they're meant to sell toys. Minion sells like gangbusters. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get an animated series with these little guys next Halloween. It's just they're Minion AF, guys. I don't even.
They're the same thing. I do agree with you because that's the whole reason we like Minions is Minions aren't necessarily bad. They just have been trained to do that. Like they're just like, if you watch the Minions movie, they're like, well, we could do good stuff, but the guy who tells us to do stuff said do this. So like we're just trying
Shannon, I don't want to rain on your parade. I actually watch them for fashion advice. That's why my wardrobe is comprised entirely of overalls and one-eyed goggles.
But you can broaden in that because one of the things on my wall is I have like some Minion related art. Like, so there's an artist that did Minions as like all the Marvel characters, and like Minions are universal. Like Minions can be any genre. So whatever you do, the minions can do that too. So if you're into, wearing like, onesies, cool, but you can't trap, you can't, box up a minion like that. Minions can do anything.
I agree. I wish that this wasn't such a like carbon copy to me.
Okay.
It just literally, I was like, there's three of them. They speak like a half English, and they're tiny enough that children aren't going to immediately consider them a threat.
Right.
It just, I don't know. It's just one too many similarities for me. But there's also like in a movie that I found generally enjoyable. Like the Toadies were great. Like it needed something like the Toadies to counteract like a full-grown adult-sized villain.
Right. With a tail, like he's creepy. Yeah. So, and we can't trust cats. So at least you can go, well, if all else fails, I can probably get away from a toady. So,
I would totally trust a woman that collected toadies more than a woman that collects cats.
Fair enough.
The next monster that we come upon in the movie. So we meet the toadies are the first ones we see. I mean, I guess technically we see the big bad first, but the toadies are the first ones we see, the colorful minion-esque. I actually did write minion-esque in my notes, so I totally see that, Khalid. The next one we see, though, is the shadow monster, which is a considerable upgrade in creepiness from the toadies, I would say.
Anytime a shadow monster variety shows up in a show, and you see them often, there's lots of varieties of shadow monsters. It is one of the creepiest things because I think it really capitalizes on the fact that we just as human beings are scared of the dark, and there are lots of dangers in the dark. And the fact that there's a monster that is fed on the fact that we can't escape that, and you can't even trust your shadow and you can't turn your back on it, I do find incredibly terrifying in a lot of ways. And I'm glad that they found a way to make this one appropriately scary, but not so much that I think kids who are watching this will go, I can never be in the dark again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate. So I think this monster actually is what made me appreciate the toadies a little bit more, because I feel like I'm glad that all the monsters in the movie aren't just like slapsticky, silly things. Like they're like, that's the kind of comic relief monster. And then we have this one that's like, okay, that's truly freaky.
Right.
It's like tentacly, sort of like spider-ish, like kind of goes, but I really like the effect of it. Like the effects are not like, like MCU level effects, of course, but they're definitely serviceable. And I thought this one, the way they're able to animate it and kind of bring this to life in a sense, like it looks just so like,
right.
I felt it looked the most realistic within that world, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Khalid? What'd you think?
Super creepy. I agree. I think it was a good progression from the toadies. I like that with the toadies, there isn't really much you can be like that clever with. So you basically just have to like kick them back or something. But then they start getting a little clever. We already pointed out the laser pointer with the cats, but this is also another moment for her to showcase her skills by busting out a light on it and scaring it back. And I loved how she eventually runs away from it and somehow calculates the lumens on everybody's cell phone if the flashes go off simultaneously.
Yeah.
So that she just dive bombs over that banister or whatever onto the couch so that everybody will take like video or pictures of it. And I was like, that's genius. That is some good, like, we live in 2020. This is how people in 2020 would do this kind of thinking. So that was all really cool. But yeah, specifically about the monster, it was suitably scary. And if I was her, I would have hit up my boy Curtis to get some magic bullets.
Right. And I like that it led into another very quote unquote realistic way that our world works right now, because everybody takes these pictures, and then of course her parents are like stalking Instagram and like, why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing? And so I thought that the fact that it led to a moment where the fact that we're in this world where monsters really exist led to and your parents also have a GPS tracker on you. And so you would need a team of people to protect you from that if you were going to be on this world. I thought that all kind of helped me go, this world makes sense, because it would make sense, okay, well, you're not, how can you run around these days? Oh, because you have somebody back, a tech person back there masking your tracks. So you could do all the things that you do. That part I thought was cool too.
that whole team got like real spotlights too to showcase like why they're a part of the team and not just redundant.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the next ones go into the other characters a little bit more though too. I'd like to learn more about their who they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I also loved the sequence with when they were capturing the shadow monster into that box. Remember that? That was with the light rope. Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah, it showed their ingenuity in a way that I thought, okay, I'm like, it made me really like these characters. I'm like, they were smart and they stayed in character though, where, like your boy Curtis, like acted like what you would think, like, I'm going to brag about this. Oh, wait, never mind. It might eat my hand. Like it was totally, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess I won't spoil too much, but not spoil anything. But I think that was my favorite monster of the movie, the shadow monster. I just think it was wonderful. Most interesting. Yeah.
We should. You have I don't know. I didn't hear this yet. You need to have like a spoiler klaxon.
Yeah.
For anybody who hates spoilers. Okay.
If anyone's listening at this point and hasn't watched the movie, there's definitely spoilers.
Yeah.
In this podcast.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You think they jumped to 43 minutes in?
Maybe.
Right.
The next monster I guess we could touch on is the I just wrote cat lady. Did she have an official name?
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she had like a person name. I'm on IMDb. Yeah.
Person name?
It was just Peggy Drude.
She was Peggy, who's like, who's like, I think is one of the additional boogeymen. Like it sounds like there's a bunch of boogeymen, right? So our big bad had to talk to her to get something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're trying to get the amulet.
Is that like he has like his sister that they keep like alluding to is like the queen of the boogeymen or whatever, and then there's like he's like the only boy, and then like the rest are sisters. So I don't think she was one of the sisters though. I think she's just like another monster of the night.
You know what, Khalid? I wrote down a ton of the mythology because I paused the screen and wrote it down. So we'll get there.
It's a lot of dense mythology.
Because I looked up this one part just because I thought she was in, because it was like Peggy Drude, the cat lady,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so I'm like, okay, so because I'm like, well, she clearly is a big deal. And I'm like, since I hadn't read the book, I needed to at least kind of backtrack enough to know why Peggy Drude, the cat lady, was so important. But I love her eyeshadow game. Like there are some Instagram tutorials out there that she's watched all of. So I think she's she's a big deal as far as I know.
She's got to be. I mean, she's basically like a human type person, but has like a power over cats.
Also, she like screwed something up on like a previous adventure with him. Like that's why she ended up giving him the cat eye, which I was like, what is this part for? Like, are you guys?
I want the backstory on that.
Yeah, but like if I was like a bad guy, I would be like, make up for that. Like, are we even now? Like, I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, because whatever she said, that whole, so she must have done something that like derailed one of his plans. And I did think it was interesting that one of our primary protagonists is that her Achilles heel is that she has a cat allergy. And so this big bad is extra like scary to her because of that. I was like, clever, very clever.
Yeah. So it also helped because like as soon as she started sneezing, I was like on the alert for where the cats are. And I'm mad enough to admit I didn't think they would all be a Shea Lounge. I didn't. I didn't see that and go, got it, found it.
No, I was impressed with that reveal as well. I agree with you.
Super cool. That was probably my favorite like sequence in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the final monster that we have here, the big bad of the movie, who is Draco Malfoy, aka Tom Felton, the Grand Guignol, I believe is how it's pronounced, Grand Guignol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a kids' movie. They could have picked an easier name.
It was a tough name. It was an interesting name. But he is referred to in the movie as, quote, the stealer of dreams, the bringer of nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, I thought he was appropriately creepy in that, we like handsome creepy. Like we like that that bad guy that is also kind of suave, which I think makes him more sinister. And the fact that he's menacing children, I think that if he was, because even though, I mean, he's still clearly Tom Felton, like they still, like they dirtied him up. but they still clearly made him kind of charming, humanish, about things where you're like, oh, and I think that that's intentional in what we do a lot, especially if you're in this young adult world of sparkle vampires and that Twilighty thing, is that bad guys still are kind of like, he's the most thing about him is that he has stringy, dirty hair. Like everything else about him is still pretty much pinup model about him, I think. So, and he has a tail, but other than that, but I thought he did a good job of, the humor tones and the accent, the humor little pops that this film seemed to be really good at. I thought he delivered those really well. Like he had this really sinister overall plan, but there's also those humorous record scratch moments where he's like, and breaks the fourth wall a little bit of, well, yeah, I know that I'm also kind of corny, and I liked that.
Yeah, he definitely rocked the role, I think. I watched a featurette. It was like a 4-minute thing on Netflix with that interviewed Tom Felton for a moment, and he described his character as half monster, half rock star. So I think you're on the nose with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because he's still, even when he's singing, you're like, why are you good at singing these lullabies? Like, why is that your jam? But that's also, I think really interesting that his jam is going up and lulling people into submission, and then just so he can make more monsters and menace them. That's creepy as hell. That is so creepy.
Agreed. So here's what I got for the lore, the mythology. If you guys will indulge me for a moment, he is a boogeyman, one of the 7 they called boogie people, and they described them as the monster mafia. Yeah. Boogie people, yeah, the monster mafia. And I love what I really kind of right, monster mafia. It's like a cool title. Cool
we're the boogie people.
Yeah,
very 1970s. Yeah.
I love it.
Boogie down. I bet you that somewhere there, like eventually, there should be like some like retro throwback where you see the boogie people doing some retro-y song. I could see that popping up eventually.
I would love to see Tom Felton in some like what are those disco pants, the bell bottoms?
Yeah. Because they've been around long enough that there could be like a little backstory that showed that.
Yeah.
Right. They're like super old, like eternal, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah.
So, until somebody throws like that fire grenade into their chest and gets rid of them.
So what I loved about this, the idea that the 7 boogie people, I don't know if you guys have read any of Sandman from Neil Gaiman.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I thought it reminded me a lot of The Endless. So like even Dream, like the main character, the main Endless character we follow is like kind of like the sleep god type character, the sleep character, and like is the younger brother to Death, who's the like the more prestigious, and it's the dynamic there felt like it was like an homage to Gaiman's world a little bit, and I thought that was super cool because I'm really into that stuff. But
right, and it leads into what Khalid said about the setting you up for later. It's like clearly we're supposed to pay attention to all these boogie people, and that they're like there's a level, like there's a boss hunt in each episode, about them as they're out trying to do whatever their menacing thing is. And our plucky heroes have to go and I guess I got the vibe that we started with the younger brother, so now the other ones are going to be more pissed as we go, and we just have to go through all of the boss levels to eventually get to the Spider Queen. Is that who we decided was the primary one? Is that what you saw, Joe, in the lore of?
I don't know. I don't know if she's definitely like, he feels secondary to her. I don't know if she's the leader of all of them, but I almost feel like the movie was setting her up to be the next villain. I could be wrong, and maybe she's just the overarching big bad, and they'll have to like knock everyone out till they get to her. But yeah, she's the Spider one's the only other one of the main the 7 boogie people we apparently get
right
a little bit on. I never thought I'd say boogie people this much.
I like it though. I'm gonna figure out ways just to add it into my sentence structure for the next week. One of the things I thought was interesting when I was reading up on some of the backstories is I like things like this. There's an article that said Harry Potter star Tom Felton is unrecognizable in new Netflix film A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting. Well, duh, he's an actor. Like he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Like why is that the main thing that they're focused on? Is the fact Tom Felton has undergone an incredible transformation for his role in the he put on they put some makeup on him. Like I'm like,
I would have preferred if he wore his Slytherin robe, just for clarity.
So you're like, clearly this is Tom Felton. I thought it was appropriate that they did it. And basically all they did is put some prosthetics on him and put some scraggly hair in his face. I'm like,
I had to double check with Joe actually. Like the makeup was good enough, and I also haven't seen him since he was a teenage boy. So
right.
like I definitely didn't immediately clock it, but I was like, this is also the only adult in this movie for like the run of it, and I know Tom Felton's supposed to be in this.
Yeah, and the other adults are very adult-like, other than the cat lady. Like the rest of them are pretty much, parents or all that stuff. So they are non-costumed adult. He is the only other costumed adult, which I thought was appropriate. Like he looked appropriately menacing, in a you don't want to be too scary when this is supposed to be a family horror movie. It's kind of thing. So, I thought it was appropriate, and he was edgy and sinister and in an appropriate way.
Right. He reminded me of have you guys seen that Amazon show Good Omens?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So obviously not the two main guys, but like on the demon side, there was that one dude who like he was like the sadist really, like that was like basically looked undead. He had like a frog or something on his head. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah. That guy. Yeah.
I can see that.
I kept thinking of him.
He also had that classic, labyrinthly, I run around with goblins look where it's kind of vintagey, a lot of, crushed velvety and a bow tie that you're like, wait, does he have a bow tie? Or it's like, what French knot is that? What does he got going on? Like lots of layers with a waistcoat. Like, I'm like, okay, I recognize that bad guy uniform that he had on, which would make sense because they are supposed to be so in this current time, but not from this current time. So I thought it was cool that they all looked like a variety of vintagey, all the bad guys in this movie.
Totally. When I was a kid, I was a sucker for like that aged leather. Like I'm basically cosplaying as a biker kind of villain. That was always my jam. So it was nice to see a little callback to that.
Mm-hmm.
I paused the screen on the page where they're looking at his like chapter in the book. Yeah. And it was kind of fun to see like the little descriptors they wrote about this character. It was so like likes were the smell of fear, kidnapping children, and fashion.
Right.
And
right.
Dislikes babysitters. Yeah. And like this one was weird. It has smells like a combination of wet mud, 1,000 belches, and a pile of rotten eggs. So
I'm glad you looked that stuff up. I didn't notice that at all.
And this it was kind of fun. Yeah.
Do that when they have those little like I like it when you go, oh wait, no, they did build this world completely. Yeah. They're like, you would see this and here's what you would do. And even though a lot of us wouldn't pause the screen, they're like, enough people will. We need to have things in there. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, they actually like put in the effort to do it. The other one that had was Origin, and it was like Underworld, Realm of the Unknown and Unmeasured, Alabama.
Nice.
So I love that. Yeah. But we got to talk about how he's killed, though, how he's defeated. The Grand Guignol can only be defeated by that special monster punch thing with that ball or that grenade thing, which effectively only works with Kelly's super math powers, kind of, or math skills.
Yeah, because
what's the deal with that? Like, is that just like a cool way of showing how math works, or are we supposed to like assume that there's more to her? Because she was also like the Zellman kid, right? Where when he tried to get her as a kid to do the same plot, but for some reason he failed.
I thought it was that chosen one type thing somehow that I thought would come out later. Like, clearly because they imply, and at least this is what I thought from my watch, that there was a reason why he was coming for her, because she could do this dream thing too. So it does sound like she is going to have additional powers that the other babysitters might not have. And so I could see that coming back up. Like there's a reason why she's going to end up being the chosen one of the babysitters and have a different skill set than the other ones do, is what I got from that whole thing.
But you think the math is just like she's just good at math and they needed to
No, I think it's part of I thought it was part of a manifestation of her powers, where that fact that her brain could see that's her ability to see how things work. And that's why she, as a 5-year-old, was able to help, like know that picking that thing up would have done something. Because she was one of those, I don't know, the people that could dream real things. Like there was a reason why he was coming for her in the first place, just like he went for the little boy Jacob. And so, and I don't know if he pops back up, but I could see why it would be of value to go, like, especially if she's going to keep being his babysitter, maybe he does have a skill set too, that there's certain people that can dream things that come into reality. And that's maybe something that she can do. And that's part of that.
Yeah, that's basically godlike powers at that point, right?
Yeah,
Like you can just make up anything you think of. Like you just have to dream it. That's crazy.
Right. And then if there's certain things that certain people that can help manifest that, so maybe other people need to be able to use it. But that would be scary that you're like, no, when I dream things, it becomes real. Like that's creepy.
I mean, yeah, I applaud them if they are just like laying the groundwork for sequels with the math thing and they didn't even allude to it in this. Like that's some good restraint.
Right.
I think the more that we're talking about, I'm seeing that there is a lot of groundwork that's being laid there, and it's actually pretty clever because I feel like a lot of times when you're setting up, like the last little bit was definitely clearly set up, but a lot of times when movies are setting up for future movies, it's kind of sometimes in your face,
right?
And so if there's like a lot of subtle cues that are going to be picked upon later on, I think that's some good storytelling there.
Right. Like, I think that makes a lot of the scenes make a little more sense because some things you're like, okay, it's a movie, that's what happens. But the fact that she was able to figure out the lumens, then figure out the trajectory that she needed to do to be able to land on this couch and be able to roll off of it and not die. And I mean, I think that just shows she can see things and has a skill set that makes her, the same thing as why there was a reason why Buffy could be a powerful slayer, but other people in the Scooby Gang they could study things and do stuff, but they still weren't ever going to be the same caliber of slayer that she was.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm in for the sequel. I want to see where this goes.
Yeah. And I also just from a base level, I love, as a teacher, I love that they're making math cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that they're making nerds cool, kind of thing.
Yes.
Like whatever your nerddom is, okay, well, you can make these things and that kind of thing. Or you read a lot, or you're good with technology, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Yeah. You could be a nerd about anything.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. Speaking of nerds, Khalid, sometimes bears are nerdy. That's a segue into our 4 bears test, Khalid. Any of these monsters pass the 4 bears test, do you think?
For this one, I don't know. Yeah, like if you had I guess 50 toadies, now that I'm thinking about it, that would probably be equal to 4 bears, but they're not even as vicious.
So how prescient are the bears?
You're gonna have to define prescient for me because I don't use it correctly.
I think okay. All right. So here's what I mean. I think if you put 4 bears if you had 4 bears as the bad instead of the shadow monster is still scarier. So because the shadow monster actually can think and has a reason why it's chasing you and decides to stay on you, when the bears might be distracted like the cat lady's cats. Does that make sense?
True. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's a mastermind. So we've come across this before. Unless you have a really intelligent bear that's leading the other 3 bears, it's a no-go for the mastermind. So Grand Guignol, it would fail. Cat lady, if she was bear lady and she had 4 bears, I think that still works. That still
even if she was one of the 4 bears and the other bears did what she said, I think that would be good. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it's a pass for cat lady, who in this instance would be bear lady. And then it was the shadow monster. No, it does not work. The monster was at a house party full of children and went unnoticed.
Right.
I would say, yeah, the toadies, again, it's a numbers thing. We only ever saw 3 of them, so as far as I know, there's only 3 of them. So no, that's a fail. It's a fail out of 3 of the 4 then.
I love it. We have another segment at the end, towards the end of each of our episodes, where we take the monster in question, in this case monsters, and Khalid breaks down, if he were faced with this monster, would he choose to fight with it or flirt with it to evade certain doom? So let's go with the Grand Guignol, Khalid. Fight or flirt?
Oh man, that dude's so in love with himself. I could totally flirt and get out of it safely. Just play to his ego. I think I'd be safe there. I'm gonna say flirt for the Grand Guignol.
Have him sing you a little song. Be like, hey man, can you sing me a little tune?
Yeah, just like, oh my god, has anyone ever told you that you look like Mick Jagger? And then just let him like just get high on himself.
Yeah.
Bonus, Khalid, would you fight or flirt with the toadies?
I'd fight him, man. You know, I hate plagiarism. All right, it wouldn't even be anything that like they specifically did. It's just I respect IP. Okay, that is DreamWorks intellectual property, and I will not stand for outright thievery.
But Minions are just Muppets, and Muppets are, so I'm like, so it's not like they created Minions. There's
a lot more thought that went into the Minions than the Toadies. Like they made it where they say words from every language, Shannon.
There's always been like goblins that did that.
Yeah, but you show a kid Minions and then you show them the Toadies. They're gonna be like one of them stole from the other. Like even a child would grasp the 1-to-1 there.
I want to share this. Last night when I was or 2 nights ago when I was watching this movie, I texted Khalid and I was like, I hope that you flirt with the toadies. And his only response to me was, LOL, what a sentence. Perfect response to that, yeah. In what context would that be said? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, man. Like, they're cute, and I would totally flirt with them if they weren't just outright stolen property.
Fair enough. All right. I love it. All right. So we definitely reached the end of our show in a sense. The last thing we kind of end up leaving with is a segment we call What the Fandom, where we each just kind of go around and share something that we're interested in or obsessed with that we think our listeners might be into, or just just anything that you're into at the moment, like a show you're binging or a book you're reading, anything like that. So Shannon, we'll give you a little bit of time to think. Why don't you start, Khalid? What the Fandom?
Cool. I got 2 recs this week, if that's okay. The first one is an FKA Twigs album. It is, one second, I just want to make sure I get the year right. The 2019 FKA Twigs album, Magdalene. It's just super good. She's kind of doing like this like throaty, like heavenly kind of voice for a lot of it, but then there's also she does a track with Future, so she's varying up a lot of what she's doing within that range, but it's just super angelic and haunting, and I am a huge fan of it. I don't know if either of you have played or seen any of the gameplay for Death Stranding, but a lot of like the score and stuff they use in that is similar to the kind of music she's doing, where you just want to be like on like an Irish like countryside listening to this music and like taking in the like space. So that's what I'm vibing with. And then I just want to give a shout out to another Netflix movie that dropped this Halloween season. Vampires versus the Bronx. I watched that today just because I was on the Halloween movie kick before this discussion, and I really love that movie. It was so cool. They got a lot of cool people in it. Either Desus or Mero, I can't remember. One of the guys from the Bronx that he was like playing an actual character in it. It wasn't just like a silly cameo. And then they've got Method Man and Chris Redd from SNL, and it's just. It's a sweet story, definitely in line with Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting as far as we're not necessarily the demographic, although this one's probably PG-13. There was some choice language. But yeah, if you guys like this, then you'll really like Vampires versus the Bronx too.
And we might do that for a future episode too. That'd be fun. Good ones, Khalid, though. Yeah.
I'm down.
The one thing I wanted to do for my What the Fandom is a book that I'm doing for a read aloud in my 4th grade class. So everything's virtual, so I'm like reading it to my screen as the kids are like there in my Google Meet. But it's this book we just started. I just got it. It's called The Care and Feeding of a Pet Black Hole by Michelle Cuevas, I think is how you would say it. But it's a really kind of charming, sweet little story. I'm only a little ways in, but it's about a young girl in the 70s who's really obsessed with NASA and wants to she wants to put something on the Voyager probe and talk to Carl Sagan, but she couldn't get in. And so, but she ends up getting followed home from the NASA headquarters by like an escaped black hole that's sentient. And she basically makes it into her pet. And so like, there's this like science-y element that's like, they talk about what a black hole is, but it's like, it's kind of silly, but it's like super fun too. And it deals with some heavy themes. Like she's the story's being told from her perspective, and she's telling the story as if she's talking to her dad who died years prior to the book. And it's I don't know, I'm really loving it. And like every time I read it, then and like I put down the chapter, the kids are like, one more chapter. So it's a hit. So I'm thinking that's a good thing. So I was reminded of the shadow monster a little bit, reminded me of the black hole in a sense, but the black hole is like nice in the book, but the kind of ideas were, I felt like aligned in some way. So I thought that would be kind of a fun rec for this week from my What the Fandom. How about you, Shannon? Do you have something?
Okay, well, two things. Okay, we'll do music first. And this is everybody in the world is super into this band right now, but I was kind of into them before everybody else. And so I'm back on my BTS kick. My younger sister, my middle sister, was a K-pop fan from back in the day, and she taught in Korea for a while. She taught in Seoul, and so we in our house got super into a bunch of K-pop artists from before. So if you're a K-pop fan, I can't think of anything you wouldn't love about the new BTS album, and I'm one of those fans that I like the fact that everybody is paying attention to him now, and that you can't, turn on Jimmy, Fallon without seeing them and all of these things. So I really like their new album. I like watching all of their things go viral. I'm enjoying that. And especially right now when the world is like weird and on fire, like if I ever have a moment where I'm like, hey, I don't feel like working out today, I'm like, but if you were a K-pop star, you would get on your spin bike, right? It's very it's very like motivating to me to like watch their videos. Cause if you're a fan, like when I was on the radio long enough that, boy bands are my jam. And so it was easy for me to lean into a lot of K-pop music because I really liked all those old school boy bands from back in the day. And so the fact that that's a lot of what the genre does was always really cool to me, is watching those boy bands and those girl pop groups do all that stuff. So that's musically what is taking over a lot of my, Amazon Music playlist right now is a lot of BTS. And it makes me smile every time one of their songs pop up. And I like going down YouTube rabbit holes with all of their videos because they are amazing. If you're into watching dance videos, you're just like, my knees couldn't handle it. Like all of the stuff that they're doing, you're just like fascinated. So TV shows wise though, and this is a big left, because I do normally super live in whatever sci-fi or fantasy show is the big thing right now. But my happy place lately for the last, we'll say 6 to 9 months, has been a show called Midsummer Murders. Are you guys familiar?
No.
I think I've heard the name, but I don't know what it's about.
So Midsummer Murders is a British detective drama, and it revolves around this detective, Chief Inspector Barnaby, and he solves all these murders in this fictional English countryside of Midsummer. And Midsummer is one of those made up places where there's just murders all the time, where you're like, how many people do you have in this region of Midsummer? And it's very like, it harkens back to if you watched a lot of Poirot or Agatha Christie type dramas from back in the day, where, yeah, it's really murdery, but it's not menacingly murdery in that you kind of don't see the murders a lot. You see them in the recap. And some of them are creepy because some of the people are like, wow, you're like, I can't believe that that's what you were trying to do and the reason that you murdered all these people. Some of it is super creepy, but it's also, some of the plot lines are very specific to things that happen in Midsummer, just like when you would watch an old school Poirot episode. So like when you watch a CSI episode or you watch, anything that's like newish like that, you kind of, it's based on, oh my God, I'm so glad that my neighbor's not that murderer. The stuff that happens in Midsummer, it's on some things that you go, Well, I can watch this and enjoy it and not feel creeped out because that would never happen because it's literally over things like it turns out there's a black market orchid like ring in in Midsummer and then there's intrigue or all these people that are super rabbit collectors and like we're at this rabbit fair, one of the guys gets murdered and you have to figure out why. And you're like, okay, that's not my my fandom. So you can watch it and it's still very British in nature in that it's peaceful and the landscape and the houses are beautiful and soothing and all of this stuff, even though there's murders that are happening. So Midsummer Murders is my TV jam lately.
Love it. I'll have to add it to the list.
Yeah, so give it a shot. Give it a shot and let me know what you think. It's been on for years. Like it started in 1997. So even if you don't have like Brightbox or any of those or BritBox or those things, you can go on like Pluto TV. Because Pluto TV is like my favorite if I'm like trying to get people to like start on old school series. Because if they haven't seen any of the old Doctor Who's, you can go on Pluto TV and they have a Doctor Who channel of the classics. And they have a classics of the Midsummer Murders one. So you can just download Pluto TV and watch the old ones and see if you like it enough that you want to add to a subscription to watch anything new.
Cool. Before we end, Shannan, where can our listeners find you? What online, socials, other podcasts, other things you want to plug?
Oh, sure. Like the easiest way to find me, you can go to my website. It's missshannan.com, Shannan with an A. All of my social media is still that as well. So if you just look for @MissShannan, MissShannan, because my mom decided to be creative with the spelling of my name. But it makes it easy to get a website because there's not a lot of Shannons with an A. You can always find everything that I do there. So feel free to find me on Instagram. I could use more fans there. And the other thing that I did is that my friends and I, from May to July, we did a streaming comedy variety show called Miss Shannan's Comedy Through the Chaos. And you can find all the episodes right now if you look for Comedy Through the Chaos on Facebook and Instagram. You can watch the 6 episodes that we did. We are refilming and tidying up some things, and we're going to release that to Amazon Prime soon as well. So if you want to see what we've been working on, it's a heart project for me because it does have features some really talented stand-up comedians and storytellers here in the Twin Cities. But it also has this take on difficult topics, and we use it to kind of destigmatize things like addiction and recovery and mental health and mental illness. And we talk about identity and pride and all of these things from the perspective of the performers. And then we add in a little, if you were wondering whether you should go talk to a therapist, we'll tell you what it's like to talk to a therapist. So all of that is in each of the episodes, and that's Miss Shannan's Comedy Through the Chaos.
Cool. Well, definitely everybody listening, go check that stuff out. Sounds awesome. Mm-hmm. Shannan, thank you so much for being on our podcast. It was
my pleasure.
It was a lot of fun to kind of chat about this movie and chat with you. It's super fun.
Yeah, and you guys are welcome. We'll do some reciprocity. You can come on BR Geek and we can talk about whatever you guys are geeking out about right now.
Oh, we'd love to.
We'd love definitely.
To. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, folks. Follow our stuff, our socials as well. Franken Podcast on Twitter. We're not an L Franken podcast. It's a monster. Check us out on Facebook. Drop those 5-star ratings. We love those. Khalid, I'll leave it with you to send us off.
Yeah, guys. Thank you for listening as always. And until next time, creep it easy.